President Biden has recently been diagnosed with COVID. He's tested positive and he's now self-isolating. A lot of people, especially a lot of Dems, are a little bit concerned about this. Well, for the fact that he is in his 80s and he is seeming a little bit like Uncle Joe is having some hard time with Father Time, if you know what I mean. And his age is kind of catching up with him, and he's just not as sparky and as positive as he once was. Well, now he's positive, really positive. And this is not really coming at the best time. There's been tons of support for ex-President Donald Trump, who recently had an attempted assassination. And the support and condolences have just been pouring in by the nation. And this is now leaving Joe with more speculation as is he okay to continue this race, because he's had to cancel some upcoming speeches. And we have to remember that the Democrats haven't even had their Democratic convention. We still have the second presidential debate. And even though these are mild symptoms, it's kind of making a lot of people question, where does he stand next in this run for presidency? And I'll be honest, I haven't read his birth chart because I honestly thought that he might get pulled out of the game. But since Biden says that he's 100% going to continue to run, then let's read his chart. But he did say if he did have health issues, he might have to leave this campaign dry and just tap out. But hopefully this won't happen because of COVID. But let's take a look at his birth chart. So President Biden is a Scorpio sun. He's also a moon in Taurus. Whoa, isn't it kind of ironic how both these presidents are speculated to be kind of born around a full moon phase? We have Trump, who is a Gemini sun and a moon in Sagittarius, and now we have Biden, who is a Scorpio sun and a Taurus moon. I mean, I'm not an astrologer, but that feels very coincident, but who knows? And he also has an ascendant in Sagittarius, and he is a life path number of 2. So let's get into the birth chart. So what we know about his chart is he has his sun and his Mercury and his Venus and his Mars all aligned in the energy of Scorpio, and that is all around the 12th house. This lets me feel like there's some areas of communication that seems a little bit secretive. There's also some energy of challenges that might be arising, especially in areas of the higher self and that higher conscious state. When we look at his area of the 10th house, he has it with Neptune, with the alignment of Libra. And I want to say that there might be some possibility of good communication with areas of success and partnerships in the career focus, but it also makes me feel like there is a naive chapter. We have to remember that sometimes that Neptune energy can be very illusional, disillusional, and a little bit off-centered. His Chiron and his North Node is aligned in the energy of Leo, which is right around that 9th house. That lets me know that there is some energy of expansion. We all know that he's had a lot of trauma in his life, but also it feels that he's focused on the here and now in areas of leadership. But however, when I look at his 8th house, certain things kind of stand out to me. The fact that it is in the energy of Cancer lets me know that there's areas of obstacles in the home front and also areas where things feel too big. Also, there is that possibility of it kind of creating an area of transformation because both his Pluto and that area of Jupiter are aligned together. So I feel like when there is change and when there is growth, it is big. Like him going from vice president to president was a big change for him. But it was something that people were counting on him to do. When I look at his energy of Gemini, which is right around the area of the 6th and the 7th house, there's a few things that stand out to me. When we look at his Saturn, it is in the 7th house, which lets me know that there could be some partnerships and contracts that feel very restricted with him in his lifetime. And also his Uranus is in the 6th, which is that area of health. So his health might have some spontaneous energy, and it might feel like it's the talk all over the place. And we're going to get more in tune to the 6th house in a minute with the current transits. When I look at his moon in Taurus, it is in the 5th house, which lets me know that there were some areas of compassion, and he was a very hard worker for his family when it came getting down to business. I also think that there is a lot of energy that stands out in this 5th house, and we're going to continue to go through it when we talk about some of his current transits. Remember when everybody was talking about the Uranus and Mars conjunction that was occurring in Donald Trump's 10th house? Well, that same conjunction, of course, is going to occur in everybody's houses and everybody's astrological chart, known as your birth chart. But some of the things about the transition is, where is it happening? And for Mr. Biden, it is happening in his area of the 6th house. And that energy is all about wellness, daily rituals, and also health. So it does govern the area of health. So I'm not surprised that he has some complications right now with being sick with COVID. It feels very blunt, and it feels very abrupt, and it feels like it's literally stopped him in his tracks in his presidential campaign, and is leading him to not be able to fight as he would like to. Another thing that's very interesting is when we look at the Pluto energy right there, it is literally occurring right there around the 11th. Which to me, I feel like it's going to create this area of where the collective sees him a little bit different, and also where it's kind of like an uproar. And this Pluto is also creating a trine with his Neptune and also his Uranus. This could be seen as a beneficial, but when you are already a president, it makes you wonder what the change is going to be in the areas of way people visualize you, and also the area of relationships. So the transitioning Neptune in Mr. Biden's chart has a direct opposition with his natal Neptune, and it is centered in the area of Pisces for him as it's transitioning over. With this area is kind of around the 1st house, so it lets me feel like there is a little bit of neglectful and naive energy. It almost feels like, he is trying to do his best. I will be honest, I think one of the concerns is, even if he gets reelected, is will he be able to actually complete that term? And some people see this as a real conversation piece, and I feel like he has not addressed that, except for the fact that he would give that energy to the vice president, which a lot of people aren't sure if that's how they want to vote, because if you're voting for Biden, there's a possibility that you are voting for Kamala as president. And I think some of us know that, but some people might be more skeptical to doing that. And I think that's something that they have to really understand, that that's one of the thought points that a lot of Americans have. And I just want to say that I don't think that Kamala wouldn't do an amazing job. Maybe she would do an amazing job, but I just think that's one of the thought points that people have, and they have not brought it up, especially when we see it in the area of the birth chart, right around in that center as it is transitioning over to that 1st house energy, where it feels very much around self-identity, and people just aren't seeing the clear vision. Luckily, and what's also interesting is that Neptune is currently in a retrograde, so I feel like this is why a lot of these pieces of direct conversation are starting to come up about where is the thinking and where is the mindset right now. I will be completely honest, I don't know if Biden will be the next president. I do think there is a possibility that he could win, but I also feel like there's a bigger possibility that he can lose. And that's just my take on it. Let me know what you guys think. Is he going to get pulled? Do you think he's going to continue to run this race? Do you feel like he could totally win it, that he's already proven himself the last 4 years? Or do you think people are too focused on Trump?